The goals were clear: to be the fastest Maxi in 8 to 12 knots of wind, and to be an electric-powered Maxi. Achieving those two targets has not been easy. It's challenged some of the best brains in the industry and has drawn technology and knowledge from the leading edge of motorsport. But the result is what some describe as the most revolutionary Maxi in over a decade. Magic Carpet's vast sail plan is balanced against a massive righting moment thanks to her canting keel. And that's the easy bit. Making this weapon of a boat 10 tons lighter than the previous Magic Carpet was another big challenge, as was designing systems to handle the staggering amount of horsepower that's on tap with a 100-footer that has just 6 winches. Delivering the dream has been a major exercise that has pushed at the boundaries of design and technology. So we've been out for a couple of hours now, and what an extraordinary couple of hours it's been. First of all, I can't believe our luck. This boat was designed to really excel in 10 to 12 knots of wind. That's exactly what we've had, and I've been jotting down some of the performance figures, and they make some pretty interesting reading. I mean, when it started off in just 7.5 knots true, we were doing 10 knots upwind at 40 degrees true wind angle, reaching, she's a superbly powerful boat. The breeze had actually picked up, it got up to about 12 knots then, and we were cruising along at 15, almost 17 knots at times with a J2 and a GS up. And then downwind, well, the breeze has dropped a bit actually. It's down to 9 knots now, and we are sailing at 135 degrees true, and the breeze is 9 knots, and we're still doing 12, 13 knots. I mean, this thing just flies along. Her appendages are at the heart of her performance. While the canting keel provides the righting moment and delivers the power in the sail plan, it's her forward daggerboard, the canard, that provides an extra gear. And while the team are keen to keep the details under wraps, skipper Danny Gallishan explained the basics. The complicated bit seems to be the canard, which goes up and down, cants to leeward, and also twists as well. Presumably that has been a trick.
I think we're calling it yaw steering.
Okay.
So it's canting and it's yawing. And I think the canting is fairly straightforward. From what my instruction and chats with Guillaume and his team, it's basically you try to keep the thing vertical. So if you're in a low heel angle, you just try to put it at 90 degrees so you're vertical with the thing. But the yaw, that's a little bit different. Whether you want to come out attack, land on it full yaw, or land on it half yaw or no yaw and then bring it on, all those things are to work out, and that's, and at what point you flip it from one side to the other during attack or a jibe, it's very powerful.
And it's this foil that can produce such an unusual feel on the helm.
We went to try and find people who knew about sailing boats like this rather than our previous boat, and we soon realised there was quite a lot to learn about the way you sail them. That they really do feel different because you feel you are sailing wide, but when you look at the course over the ground, you're sailing much better than you think. Yeah. But that's just the strange thing. They like to be sailed fast, and the targets are high, and you say, but they look like wide angles, but they're not, because this boat's got no leeway, whereas a normal boat's got a lot of leeway. So actually, it's a whole different feel, and you've got to integrate all those thoughts and accept that there's everything to learn about how much yaw you put on the canard. Okay, but little by little you learn, and it becomes simpler than the tables suggest.
It is quite an extraordinary experience, and It's definitely a boat that you have to drive. You definitely have to concentrate on the numbers, that's for sure. Get it right, the numbers go rocketing up. What a weapon. So here are the basic numbers. We are sailing at 103 degrees true at the moment. We got 11.9, so 12 knots of true wind, and we're doing 16, sometimes just up to just under 17 knots. It's unbelievable. It's a rocket ship. But what's really interesting about this boat, and it's sort of a feature of modern high-performance boats anyway, is that helm is really neutral. I mean, you let go and the boat just steers itself in a straight line. But more than that, because this boat's got a canard, when they change the angle of the canard and start driving the bow up, you really feel it on the helm. And you have to actually, to be honest, I'm not sure I've figured it out just yet, but it definitely changes your heading. But it's a very, very different helming experience, but absolutely beautiful. I daren't say I want one because it's totally out of the question, I think. Are we going?
The sensations you feel through the wheel are not the same. We are all used from coming from classic fixed keel boats, is that they nearly all have a lot of weather helm, and you let go and it comes up, and so you're always just nudging it down to keep it straight, and that's a sort of an ingrown instinct. That's what they do. No, these boats have got to be steered both ways. They've got a different balance. They get a different feel of the helm. It feels different, and you've got to get used to that, and little by little it becomes more normal.
Canting a keel 45 degrees out to windward is probably nothing particularly special nowadays, but it still looks a bit weird when you're hiking off the windward side and looking down at the bulb. But the thing that really is special is that canard, and you really feel it on the helm, because it's a bit like having someone else driving the boat with you, because change the angle on the canard and the whole feel and setup on the helm completely changes. So it's going to be quite a tricky boat to get to grips with, I'm sure, because it's a long way outside the ordinary. Anybody who's obviously followed America's Cup in particular will be now very used to the term flight controller,
Yeah.
and controlling foils and the rest of it. But from what I understand about this boat, which is a very, very complex boat, that's your job now, flight controller.
Yeah.
You stroll around with a box controlling all the foils. Well,
For my
sorry,
sins,
not foils,
the appendages. Yeah, yeah, I seem to have got the appendage job. Yes, and it's a super interesting thing it is an interesting thing to be doing. It's a little bit new to me.
There's so many things that are remarkable about this boat. Not least of all, when we left the dock, it caught us out by surprise. Me and cameraman Richard behind the camera there, we hadn't realised we'd left the dock because there was literally no noise as we ghosted out of some Saint-Tropez harbour. So that was fascinating. But one of the other things that really strikes me is the speed at which the sail handling happens. Hoisting the main was probably from the bottom to the top, probably inside a minute, but the way in which they get up the staysail up and down, the kites up and down, they are furling sails, so they are easier in that way to deploy, but they're heavy, big, cumbersome sails. But there's no doubt at all that this boat has been built for round the cans racing, and as I say, the speed at which they can manoeuvre the boat is really quite remarkable.
So on our primaries we're running a line speed of between 250 and 300 metres a minute.
Right. Yeah.
So that enables us to really go for quick jibes and carry the speed through the jibe and not lose any speed in that manoeuvre.
Is that a step up from what, I mean, the likes of, you know, the other Maxis, people like Comanche?
No,
well, actually Comanche's not around the cans boat, but...
Yeah, I think that's actually standard now. I think if you look at all the Maxi fleet now, they're all operating the same sort of winch speeds, the same sort of winch power. You know, that has been a development that's happened the last 10 years, and one that it's probably reached its maximum in development terms, because I don't think you can go any faster than that now. I think it's almost impossible to turn the boat any quicker.
Right, we're just going into a jibe now. I think it's going to be an inside jibe, but here's an indication of just how nimble this boat is. Just watch this going through the jibe. Filled the Genoa staysail. That didn't take very long.
Driving in 3, 2, 1, and driving.
going into the inside jibe, they're furling pretty much 75% of the sail. Out the other side. And we're set. You reckon you can do it any quicker on your J70? Good luck. Hydraulics are at the heart of the control system and help make the deck layout clutter-free. But the system also made the move to just 6 winches possible.
There was a big emphasis on weight on this project, and we had to look everywhere where we could save weight. The traditional setup for a Maxi is normally 8 winches minimum. So with a winch setup, we would look at 120 kilos for 2 winches. So we wanted to save that weight. So by having these runner backstays, which we would have needed anyway for fine trim upwind, we were able to remove 2 winches from the boat, and the runners actually go onto a lock system developed by Rigging Projects. So we have like a bullet lock like you would see in a mast. So you pull the runner onto the bullet lock, you can relieve it then from the winch, so you can use the winch for other functions on board the boat, and then do everything with the runners. We have the option as well to unlock it and actually use it on the winch like a traditional runner setup as a backup system. You know, that was important. We don't want to just stop sailing because we've had an issue with the cylinder. We want to have backup solutions. So with the way we designed it with Rigging Projects, we can unlock it and then use it conventionally, and the bullet can pass over all of the sheaves, so there's no limiting factor to that.
Right, okay. And it sounds like that's quite unusual in the Maxi.
Yeah, it is for us and Rigging Projects. It was the first time that has been done, but again, if I built another one tomorrow, I would do exactly the same now. It's a real win for the guys in the pit.
Now here's something else that's pretty different aboard this boat compared to other Maxis, and that's the rudders. Yes, it's got twin rudders, but you can see this whole area rotating here as the deployed rudder is being used. But you've got to keep your wits about you, because you can walk across the back here, but very quickly you can find yourself on a rotating platform, which is a rather unusual experience, as is seeing the rudder come up through the cockpit as you go through a tack. That's quite different.
This is the rudder barrels. So as you see on deck, we've had our lifting rudder system, which was something that Guillaume was insisting we had. You know, as you look at all of Guillaume's mockers, they have kick-up rudders. So he wanted to achieve the same effect, but not with the kick-up system. So what we've got here is 2 composite barrels. Inside that barrel is another composite barrel where the foil moves up and down, and then that composite barrel rotates around a bearing, which is located in this tube you see here. So it's a new system. It's the one thing I love about it. It's completely watertight. Where most bearing systems you have like a lower stock, which is actually if the seals fail, you've got water ingress. With this, we haven't got to worry about that. It forms part of the monocoque. So we have a solid composite barrel which is connected both at deck and at hull.
But this boat is not just about the big items. The thought that has gone into every detail on deck is remarkable.
Because what we really wanted to do with this boat, which is something that the other Maxis hadn't achieved, which is try and get the tack of the sail as low as possible, instead of having the furler up above deck and having the traditional lines. So with the Carboni furler, we were able to sink it into the deck and then get that really good end plate effect with the foot of the jib, which was something that Guillaume was adamant we were doing. So that's been a great success, and obviously it's hydraulically driven, and so it can be controlled from the pit, and it helps with that easy sail handling with the reduced crew number.
So the luff of the headsail is supporting. What kind of loads are you getting in?
Yeah, so the tack of this sail will take 24 tons. And the headstay will share as low as 3 tons of that. That's it. So it really is there just to support the rig.
And is that the main? We hear a lot about helix and structured luff and that kind of technology. That's what you're employing here to change the shape of the sail.
Exactly. So we've actually employed a Cunningham in this configuration, which is again something not usually associated with these sort of furler systems with the Maxis. This is something new that we're trying. So this enables us to change the load between the cable of the sail and the tack of the sail. So we can basically ease up the cable tension, bring down on the Cunningham tension and adjust that and get the ultimate jib shape.
Okay, so the other thing that I noticed that struck me as being quite unusual was a deck step mast for a Maxi. I mean, that isn't that common, is it?
No, it isn't, but Guillaume wanted the mast so far aft to give us our maximum J that we could get. And that also meant that he could then position the mast directly over the keel, and obviously centre that effort, because obviously with a keel step mast or a keel step mast, it's in front of the keel, and obviously you lose that J length, and then your effort position changes. So this was why Guillaume wanted a deck step rig, and that's why he has them on his projects.
I'm looking at this panel here. What am I looking at? This is a set of halyard locks, is it here? We got.
Yeah. So basically, what you've got here is the jammer system, which is purely for jamming off the halyards at the mast. They're just simple 500 kilo clutches, and then also you've got an array of the control lines which control the locks inside the mast. We also have an indication system, so we have lights and audio alarms for everything, so it gives you a signal when the sail is on the lock or when it's off the lock. We've also got indicators because our tack lines are on locks as well. So the pitman has all the information he needs to have confidence that he's got what he needs done before you deploy the sail.
Right, he's not waiting for a magic marker.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
So what have we got here? TAF?
Well, so tack line,
Yeah.
aft rig and forward rig.
Okay.
All right, so there's 3 circuits on the boat, which
okay.
give it indication. So any one manoeuvre, they're not the same noise, they're not the same lights, they're all different. So the pitman knows, okay, that's that sail on the lock, or that's the other one on the lock. So it's about making it clear and precise in the pit.
Yeah. And then I guess the winch control, drive controls are fairly straightforward down here, the foot buttons. But what about the buttons we got around the side?
So these are the carboni membrane panels. So these are all controlling the jib system. So we have this one here is the primary jib panel here, which controls the jib up, down, in, out. The ram you see here, which controls the jib clew. It also controls the furler for the jib. Here you have the pitman's panel. This controls the tack line rams, the GS tack, and also the Solent tack. Again, we try to position all of this stuff so when the guy is operating it, he's also looking at what he's doing. You know, this boat has got a huge amount of power, and safety is a big thing. So we did a lot of work to make sure that the guy operating it feels comfortable, that he can lift his eyes up and he's not bending down and not looking at what he's doing.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah. What about the pedestals then? These look like a bundle of fun.
Yeah.
But actually quite small for the size of boat in a lot of ways.
Yeah, well obviously we spent hours and we mocked up 2 pedestals in wood actually before we committed to this one.
Right.
So what you see here, we got here the basic keel controls. This controls all the canting keel system through its tacking motion, its floating, and it's also got an emergency button as well, just in case we get into a situation. So this is all able to be controlled by the helmsman. Here we have all the canard control system where we can adjust the rotation of the canard and its movements up and down, and then obviously all the data, the key data that the helmsman needs. So this is all designed to be that one person, when the owner is, so Lindsay is using the boat in the summer, can operate the majority of the sail systems without having a full team on board.
Right, impressive. And you can rotate that round. Oh, yeah. I suppose so. If you're sitting here.
Yeah, exactly, and that's designed, and so the guy can helm here, but even then, Neil McDonald can take over control. He can see the information. He can share it with the helmsman, and then obviously the mainsail trimmer, which is Neil in our case, has got full control of the main sheet and all the relative functions that are involved in that.
Yeah, I mean that looks pretty straightforward. Even I can figure that out. Main sheet, traveller. Main fast, is that like a fast in,
fast in,
dump?
fast out. So that's basically when you're on a big reach and you've got puffy conditions, so you can keep, because obviously, as you know with these boats, if you don't use the main, it's very different, it's difficult to bear away.
Yeah, definitely. And Vang, outhaul, main cunning, function.
Yeah, and then we got an enable and a shutdown for the hydraulics there. And with the tack function here, through a tack, Neil can press that, and the PLC will take the existing traveller position and automatically move it to the other side through the tack. So he has to just simply press that and walk to the other side of the boat.
Right. Oh, right. Oh, that's handy. In part 3 we head below decks to take a closer look at the systems that drive Magic Carpet, including the impressive electric system. Plus a stunning interior that presented its own technical challenges. Given how long cam cleat systems have been around, creating a new design seems as likely as reinventing the wheel. But that's not how deck hardware manufacturers Allen Brothers saw it. The development of high-performance boats like the 49er and others, particularly skiffs, have changed the way that we sail. And that has led to new developments in deck hardware. For example, on the 49er, Allen Brothers' new swivel cleat not only rotates, but provides super low friction through 360 degrees. This allows the crew to trim the jib accurately through 180 degrees on either side, something that's essential on a modern skiff. Removing the traditional bullseye fairlead and replacing it with 2 ball bearing sheaves and a stable base was key and allows accurate, smooth trimming. And this makes the new swivel cleat a game changer. When it comes to clothing developments, the focus is often on high-end professional offshore gear. Musto's no stranger to this world, but their latest range is aimed at the other end of the scale. Created using the same design knowledge and detail that's behind their LPX and MPX ranges, Musto's new BR3 Sport range has been developed specifically for Corinthian sailors. The result is a range based on a 3-layer fabric that offers high levels of protection, comfort and freedom of movement. Good breathability has also been an important part of the design, in a range that includes both offshore and sports clothing. The BR3 Sport line includes a smock, jacket, salopettes and waterproof shorts, and is designed to minimise bulk. The offshore jacket and trousers have a Pertex shield membrane and a tightly woven fabric that sheds water easily while offering good durability. On top of this, the BR3 collection has been designed to deliver excellent performance at an affordable price.